In our line of duty, we see the darkness that lurks in every shadow. Sometimes that darkness isn't just in the criminals we chase, but in the inexplicable events that haunt our every shift. Tonight, we share 3 true horror tales from the beat, stories that will make you question what really walks among us. I remember that night vividly. I was sitting in my patrol car, the radio static humming softly in the background, my mind drifting. Then a dispatch cut through the silence. Unit 47, report to 318 Blackwell Street. Possible disturbance reported by a passerby, no additional details. Just another call, just another night. Or so I thought. I turned on my lights and headed toward the address. The rain had started coming down hard, smearing the city in a blur of orange and blue lights. The streets were empty, eerily empty. You notice these things when you've been on the force long enough. It wasn't right. I pulled up to the address, a crumbling old apartment complex, the kind of place that should have been condemned years ago. I stepped out of the car, flashlight in hand, when my radio crackled again, but this time, it wasn't dispatch.
Help! Please, they're coming.
I froze. The voice was barely above static, distorted and weak. I pressed the button, my throat dry. This is Detective Lewis, Unit 47. Who is this? State your location. Silence. Then, just barely, I heard it. A whisper below the static. The door to the building was unlocked. It groaned as I pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick, damp, suffocating. My boots creaked against the old wooden floor. Then my radio crackled again.
Don't let them see you.
I stopped breathing. My pulse hammered against my ribs. I spun around, expecting someone to be there. No one, just the empty hallway stretching behind me. I pushed forward, my flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. That's when I saw them. Deep, erratic scratches gouged into the wooden walls. Who's there? A shadow moved at the end of the hall. It was barely there, like it was bleeding into the darkness itself. Then my radio exploded with static.
They see you now. Run!
My stomach dropped. A wave of cold washed over me. The air thickened with something I couldn't explain. I didn't wait to find out what it meant. I turned and ran, my breath coming out in short gasps. The air outside hit me like a punch to the gut. The rain had stopped. The city was still, too still. I got in my car, locked the doors, and gripped the wheel, trying to stop my hands from shaking. The radio was silent, completely silent. I tried tracing that transmission. No records, no missing persons reports, nothing. Even now when I sit in my patrol car late at night, sometimes the radio crackles. Just for a second. And I swear, I hear that same voice.
It was a cool, creeping dusk in the industrial park when the call came in over the radio. I was idling by my patrol car, reviewing my notes from an earlier shift, when the dispatcher's voice came through with routine clarity. Unit 14, possible suspect fleeing near the convenience store. Over. I adjusted my grip on the radio microphone, replying, "Copy that." There was nothing to suggest it was anything unusual. After all, these calls were part of the nightly rhythm. When I arrived at the convenience store, I saw him, a suspect sprinting out the back door, clearly agitated. I immediately went for him, assuming it was a typical case of a shoplifter on the run. He was agile, weaving through the back alleys. Just as I closed in, the suspect suddenly slowed. I pulled up beside him on a deserted road, and in a blink, he vanished. I was certain I'd seen him. His car was parked right there, engine still running, but no sign of the man. I called for backup and started searching the area. Every corner I turned, every darkened doorway, I kept expecting him to reappear. Instead, I found bizarre clues. Footprints that seemed to vanish mid-stride, a trail of cigarette butts that ended abruptly near a broken fence. It was as if the suspect had been swallowed by the night, I even checked surveillance cameras in the area. Nothing, not even a shadow. My gut told me something paranormal was at play. I wasn't just chasing a man that night. I felt like I was chasing a ghost. My colleagues later told me that they too had felt an unexplainable chill. I kept hearing a faint laugh, a sound that didn't belong in our world. It's like the suspect was a phantom, here one moment and gone the next. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd disturbed something that wasn't meant to be disturbed. That case remains unsolved. I still review that footage late at night, wondering if I really saw a human or if the darkness itself had taken form. Every time I hear the echo of that mysterious laugh, I'm reminded that sometimes the most elusive suspects aren't of this world at all.
I got a call one rainy night. An old dispatcher said there were strange happenings at a diner on the outskirts of town. No one had been there for years, but they claimed lights flickered and there were sounds like whispers and footsteps inside. I thought it was urban legend, until I went there. Inside, the diner looked frozen in time, tables set for customers who never came, jukebox silent, and an overwhelming scent of stale coffee. But as I walked deeper, I began hearing faint murmurs. They weren't like voices of the living. They were layered, almost like echoes of the past. I swear I saw her, a woman in a uniform from decades ago, eyes full of despair, silently pleading. I called out, "Who are you?" But the only answer was the sound of dripping water and my own heartbeat. I dug through the remnants of that place. I discovered that in the early 70s a beloved waitress had died in a fire under mysterious circumstances. Locals whispered that her spirit never left, that she wandered the diner looking for redemption or closure. Every creak of the floor, every whisper of wind through broken windows felt like her reaching out to me. In that moment, time stopped. Her eyes locked with mine, and I felt a surge of grief and terror. It wasn't malice I saw, it was the anguish of a soul trapped between worlds. I couldn't move. I simply stared as she raised a trembling hand as if to say, "Remember me." That night, I left the diner with more questions than answers. I later learned that the diner had been shuttered after a tragic series of events, and the spirit of that lost waitress became a part of its legend. I sometimes wonder if we as officers are destined to confront the remnants of lives that ended too soon. For me, that encounter taught me that the past isn't dead. It lingers in the corners of forgotten places. These are our truths, experiences that remind us that sometimes the most inexplicable horrors come not from the criminals we pursue, but from the shadows of our past. We share these stories in the hope that, by remembering, we can find the strength to face whatever darkness lies ahead. If you found these stories as captivating and chilling as we did, please give us a like. Leave your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true tales from the beat. Your support helps us continue to bring you the real stories behind the shadows.